Hello everyone, today I am super excited about this video because if you guys have been keeping up, I've been working on this lock. I removed it off a pre-loved bag that I bought. I cleaned it and I told you guys I was gonna do something else with it, so today is that day. If you guys have also been keeping up, you saw I already showed you guys what I did with this. And what I did was actually blinged it out, guys. Yes, I blinged this cute little lock out. It's literally gorgeous, guys. You guys are gonna have to wait to the end to see how it came out, but trust me guys, it's beautiful. If you guys follow Louis Vuitton or are, super fans, you know they actually came out with the lock just like this one, blinged out. But guys, for real gold and diamonds, it's $93,000, guys. And no, you know your girl's not gonna be paying that, so that's why I'm blinging it out myself. And I'm gonna show you exactly how to bling it out yourself also. So that's enough blabbing. I'm gonna begin showing you the materials that you need. To start off, obviously your lock. Next, I have my tray to keep my rhinestones organized. This is a double-sided tray that I like to use when I'm using multiple sizes and I'm still trying to keep them separated. I also have Bob Smith 30-minute cure epoxy as my adhesive, and I'm also going to be using 𝓭𝓸𝓻𝓮 glue. You guys will see why in a bit. I have my pickup tool so I can pick up the rhinestones. I'm actually going to be using the other side of the pickup tool. I'll show you guys why and how. Also in a bit, I have my sticky notes that I like to use to mix my glue on. It keeps it nice and clean and they are disposable, so that helps a lot. And I have some toothpicks that I like to use to mix my glue and also apply it and spread it on whatever surface I'm working on. So these are a must. Now I'm going to show you guys the rhinestones. I decided to go with the crystal color rhinestone because I wanted that real diamond look, just like the little one that LV is selling for $93,000, guys. That's insane. So that's why I chose crystal colors. I'll be talking about sizing as I go working on the lock. So these are my materials and now let's begin. So like I was telling you guys, I'm going to be using my pickup tool, but I'm going to be using the other end of it, the metal part. What I like to do when I'm working with tiny little rhinestones is I like to get my 𝓭𝓸𝓻𝓮 glue. I place just a tiny bit of that glue on that tip. Just a drop, guys. This is my clear 𝓭𝓸𝓻𝓮. And then I let it completely dry, guys. Look at this. Just a tiny little drop like that. If you have too much, go ahead and wipe it off. And then let it completely dry. It does not take that long. And then that glue that is dried up on that tip is actually going to become a bit sticky, which is going to let you pick up those rhinestones. Just like this, guys. And that's what I like to use to pick up those rhinestones. It's easier to see them and to pick them up than with the regular tip. So in the meantime, while that's drying, I like to prep my glue, which is a Bob Smith. This is a glue that I'm going to be using to apply the rhinestones onto the lock. This is a A and B part adhesive, this epoxy right here, just a tiny bit, guys. I'm gonna be working by sections like I always do, and the lock is super small, guys, so you really don't need that much epoxy. Now these are the rhinestones I'm using. I'm gonna be using, starting off with the SS6 crystal rhinestone. This is the first one. Like I said, I'll be talking about the other ones as I go working on the lock. The sizes are very similar, but when it comes to placement, that's when you see the difference. So I'm gonna start blinging out the lock now. I have my little lock right here, guys. I didn't do any prepping on it. It's just like this and straight epoxy onto it. It hurt me so much to file it down, so I was like, I'm not doing that. If you want to, you can. I don't think it's necessary because like I said, I blinged it out. This is actually my first time blinging a lock out, and it's been lasting. Like I said, I've been using it on my purse and none of the rhinestones have fallen off. So no prepping for this one, guys. I'm gonna go in with the epoxy. This epoxy does give you 30 minutes to work with, so do take that into consideration. I do like to work by sections. Right here, I did apply the epoxy only on the top area to give me about enough to do 2 rows to begin with. I am going to be doing the honeycomb method just like the LV lock, guys. I'm going to put the epoxy all the way around. You do want to be super careful when applying the epoxy. You know, make sure it's in that specific area you're blinging out, because when it does dry, it dries really hard, guys, and it's hard to remove it. So be very careful. Take your time when it does come to applying the epoxy. Right here, you guys see how I applied it all the way around, because I want to be doing the whole lines at one time, all the way around. Again, I'm using the end tip of my pickup tool. That 𝓭𝓸𝓷𝓽 glue is completely dry, so now it's ready to pick up the rhinestones. I am again using that SS6 rhinestone for this part of the lock, all the way around with that honeycomb. Very easy to follow, guys, all the way around. Do check on your rhinestones every once in a while, because since we are using epoxy, the rhinestones can slide a bit, so you want to make sure they are as straight as possible. Also, make sure that they're not overlapping to the top of the lock. Just try to make sure they are as straight as possible. This line is going to work as your guide for the rest of the lock, so you're trying to make this as clean, as straight as possible before you move on to the rest of the lock. So right here, you guys see that I went all the way around with the rhinestones. They fit perfectly, no fill-in sizes, no gaps, nothing. The size SS6 fits perfectly. Now I'm gonna go and start doing my second row again with the same size in that honeycomb method, and that just means working the rhinestones in between the previous line, as you guys can see there, all the way around again. So this is how the lock looks after I did those 2 rows. Like I said, the epoxy I had previously placed on it was enough for 2 rows, and this is how it's starting to look with that honeycomb all the way around. I am gonna go and cover over the little LV signs and stuff in the back, made in France, Paris. I'm gonna cover that over, and I'm gonna work my way around the LV logo in the front. Again, working by sections, I'm going to go ahead and apply that epoxy very carefully around the top of that logo, all the way around, and once again continuing that honeycomb around with that SS6. So with this size, I was able to fit 1 more complete row right above the logo, making it 3 complete rows of rhinestones right above the logo before I had to work around it. Right here, you guys see that I did start that row around the logo, leaving a bit of space so I can work with it as I am going with fill-in sizes. Now that I have gotten to this area, I'm going to show you guys the different sizes I'm going to be using. So now, besides the size 6, I'm going to be using size 4 and 3 to fill in those tiny little gaps. I'm going to apply the epoxy once again very carefully. I'm not applying any rhinestones into the actual logo. I'm just working around it. Be very careful when it comes to placing the epoxy in this area. You don't want it to kind of like overflow onto the logo. Just be very careful. You guys see right there how I applied the epoxy. And then I went in with my fill-in sizes. I'm going to add a picture so you guys can see really up close of exactly how I place my rhinestones. But again, I did use the 3 and the 4 sizes. And then for the rest, I went in with the 6. So now that I am done blinging the logo, or inside the logo, now I can work around the logo. I'm going to continue with my honeycomb lines, and then whatever area that the size 6 doesn't fit right next to the logo, I'm just going to go in with a fill-in size, which would be the size 4. I'm going to continue with my honeycomb lines all the way around and continue with those fill-in sizes if I need them around the logo. This is how my lock looks now that I reached the bottom, part of the logo. And now I can just go all the way down, continuing my honeycomb lines with no fill-in sizes. 4 rows later, this is how the lock looks. I am completely done with this area of the lock. What do you guys think so far, guys? Look how cute it looks. I love how that gold just comes through. I wish I would have been able to bling out the inner logo, but it's just too small, guys. So now I'm gonna work on the top of this part of the lock. Make sure you pay attention for this area because there is some very important details when it comes to blinging this lock, guys. So this is a lock, guys, and as you can see there, I opened it, and when I'm opening it, I only have a certain amount of space to twist the little handle. So when I'm gonna bling this area, I have to make sure that I can still do that, because if I place rhinestones that are too big, then I'm not gonna be able to twist open the lock. You know what I mean? So I made some fresh epoxy, and I'm very carefully going to apply it to this section of the lock. I'm gonna do this whole area at one time, and very carefully, guys. Make sure if you are doing this to not place any epoxy in the lock areas where the little handle twists and where the lock goes into, because you don't want it to dry and get hard and then you're just wasting your time with your lock. You know what I mean? You still want it to be functional, so be very careful when it comes to applying the epoxy. Now you guys can see that I went in with the size 4 here. That is the main size I'm using for this lock. But again, like I told you guys, I still want to be able to twist that handle, you know what I mean, without the rhinestones falling off. So I'm going to place 2 tiny SS3s right there where that lock twists. I kept twisting it to make sure that it was still going to be able to function. And then I continued with that SS4. I did that for both sides of where that lock twists. You can barely see the difference, but guys, it makes a difference. You see how it can twist without the rhinestones moving? Again, those 2 little rhinestones on each side are a 3. The rest of the rhinestones are 4. Remember that. Very important. And then I continued with that 4 in the inner part of that circle, as you guys can see there. Always double checking my work, making sure the rhinestones are exactly where I want them to be. I let this area completely dry, and this is how it looks, guys. My lock is looking more and more beautiful, guys, but you know this is not enough bling. I need to do the handle too. I did let this area, like I said, completely dry though, so I could hold it while I'm blinging out the handle. So right there, again, you guys see me applying epoxy very carefully all around the lock handle. I would say maybe do half of the lock, because since the rhinestones that need to be placed here are very small, you do need that time. So maybe do half of it. I did all of it at one time, guys, and I was rushing because I didn't want that glue to dry, guys. These rhinestones are tiny. This is a size SS3. That is the size I used all around the handle, guys. Very carefully, trying to keep my lines as straight as possible. Each row did have 8. That is what wrapped around the lock, guys, with the size SS3. Just a little FYI. When it came to working at the bottom areas, I did actually unlock it, because I wanted to be able to see. I kind of like eyeballed where that lock ended, and then I blinked to that area. It's a little bit hard to reach with the lock being locked, so that's why it looks kind of like a gap right there. It's just unlocked. And then when I was done, I did use my toothpick to kind of make sure all the lines were straight, as straight as possible, guys. It's really hard to work with tiny little rhinestones. So just take your time and, you know, just try to keep your lines as straight as possible. Double check your work. And this is how it looked, guys, after I was done blinging the handle. So this is it, guys. I'm gonna let it completely dry and I'll show you guys the results in a bit. So guys, I went out this weekend And I was trying to show you guys how the look looked in the sun, guys. Look, I know my photo shoot sucked this time. I was in the car was shaking, but I hope you guys get, you know, kind of the vibe of how beautiful this look is. Look at it. Oh my god, it's just gorgeous. And then I try to like reshoot it, and for some reason it's like gloomy outside now, so I couldn't get any better shots, guys. But I hope, you know, you get the vibe right here. Look how beautiful this look came out. I did some more shots, but guys, oh my god, this video just does not do it justice. It's beautiful. I highly suggest for you guys to go ahead and try it out. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned a little something. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any more videos coming soon. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much. Make sure you have all your notifications turned on. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.